This setup has been cooking for a long time. There's so many people there. Doesn't get away with the second. How on earth has Leaf done that? They know where Ned is. He's dropped him. Another clever moment from Superman. He does it again.
Smick standing here with Coach Josh after G2 takes down EG on map number 1 on Lotus. And after watching that map, I noticed there were a couple of changes that were made, mainly in IC playing Duelist, and we see Leaf on Sentinel. So I'm curious, especially with the recent roster changes with IC joining the team, was this change made by design? What was the thought process there?
It was actually by design. We thought Nathan could play Sentinel really well, and IC is clearly a really good duelist. He's taking all the space for us, getting the entries, just leading the forefront. It's working out.
Amazing. Looking forward to Icebox then. Best of luck.
G2 managed to pick up their map pick, on Lotus, but we'll see what the future holds for them. EG, though, certainly did not make that feel easy whatsoever, but it was still impressive to see G2. Despite the fact that we were seeing some great clutches from EG, G2 still managing to fight back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the 2 pistol wins that they had made it really difficult for EG to fight back. And you saw some moments, right, where you have hero moments, those types of things, trying to keep EG back in the game, but it was kind of the snowball at the beginning of everything.
Yeah, it was a 5-0 lead for G2, right? And then timeout's called. All of a sudden, you've got these clutches. I mean, Nature plays this so incredibly well. And, I mean, the spams the smoke on the diffuser. It's gorgeous. But that was necessary in order to give EG a chance because of the fact that G2 won the first pistol. They won that bonus, right, after getting 2 picks early in the round. That was really what set the tone for the game.
Yeah, and the recovery from that from G2 was really impressive as well. VALORANT, I think, called a great game, especially on the attack side, doing a really good job at playing when EG was sending that aggression, going for these late round hits. He's an IGL who, like, former players of his text described him as like a mastermind. You feel like a chess piece when you play under him. But he really does take a lot of that control, and he himself was absolutely owning this map. But the focus has to be on this new rookie, Icy, who showed up and I feel like did fine.
Yeah.
And that's fine for a debut, right? They played a good game. He did his role well. I have no complaints.
I think he played great, actually. I think, especially when you compare it against the other side, where Giacomo kind of had a slow game in general.
Like the worst game we've seen from Jaw in a long time.
Absolutely it is. And for me, I see, like,
both duelists are at the bottom.
But for me, like, that first half was him playing very well.
Yes.
And maybe the second half kind of slows down, whatever, but they don't really need that at that point.
Yeah, we'll continue to see him how he plays in the series. I think the story for me was our IGLs, right? Nature frying in those late round moments, always showing up. But Valen on the other side too with 21 kills. And that's coming again, right? The nail in the coffin against EG was with Valen up on top of box on that C site in the Thrifty round, getting 2 kills with a Stinger, right? We were dead even right there. And then all of a sudden G2 win that round and continue to win out from there.
And to no surprise, Leaf switches over to a new role. He still plays excellently. The guy will hop onto any agent, and he's great there. Whenever he was having a hit come to his site, when he was playing on the kill joint on defense, I thought his movement was really good. He has a great understanding of how to play around his utility. Honestly, no matter what agent I see the guy lock in, I have no worries. He was great. Yeah, it was, again, just another example of why we've continued to praise Leaf on this desk so many times now. But as we take a look at the other side of the field, let's see what Coach Potter has to say as we get ready for map 2.
Smick standing here with Coach Potter after map number 1. And I'm curious, Potter, it's been about a month since we last saw you during kickoffs. That's a lot of time to prepare, to practice. I know you didn't have too many chances. It was just 2 matches back then. But what did you really focus on ahead of stage 1?
Keeping our gas. You know, I think after that Loud series, it was obvious that through maps 2 and 3, we were just losing kind of confidence. And I think map 1 showed that for us as well. It was a really slow start for us. And as a newer, younger squad that's kind of finding themselves, we really need rounds on the board to really kind of give us that momentum. But I'm proud of the guys for at least making that comeback happen early on in the first half. But second half, things kind of fell apart for us.
Well, we've seen you certainly build teams back up in the past before, but for now, best of luck on map number 2.
Thank you.
It's always good to have the cool hand of Potter in those situations to be able to guide the young players, in the right way. And maybe this is going to be an opportunity for them to do just that. As we get ready for map number 2, it's going to be EG's pick of Icebox. This next map is going to be a 1-for-1 rematch of what we saw in the match between these two squads at Kickoff. Then EG was playing a deadlock composition, the only team. Are we going to get it again? Try something like that.
I honestly doubt it. I think there were some cool ideas there, the way that Judgmo was moving around his utility to set up these trap plays on the defense. I don't necessarily think it's an idea they're going to stick to. I think EG, they read me as the type of team who will have some pocket comps like that they want to play in a more one-off tournament like Kickoff.
See, I'm not so sure because I think the read for Power, that was a no duelist comp that they were running, and that is a very different meta read. You saw a team like Lev, they were playing Reyna, and they switched to a Jet, and that's just because they want to have like some flexibility. That's a pretty easy pivot. But coming in and your first read on the year being, we want to play no duelist on Icebox, which is perfectly viable. I don't think you make that pivot immediately away from that after only showing that a couple of times.
You're team Deadlock, you're team anti-Deadlock.
I'm team Deadlock. I could also see them trying, something else out in that slot, but yeah.
I like the comp. I don't think it works consistently. I think
Why don't you think it works consistently?
I think it's more so that once you start to see some of these ideas, for me, the biggest takeaways, particularly on the defense with how they were doing it, was setting up these kind of traps with the sonic sensor. I think it's a comp you can really contact on a lot that can get punished, and I think EG likes to have those kind of gimmicky one-off ideas and then change away from history.
I will say the things that make it hard is the initiator slots that they give some options over there in order to do some early scouting. But okay, they do switch over to Jet and Harbor. I'm a big personal fan of this Harbor comp, like I've said a million times in the past, though.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we've seen so much of it. I'm really curious on the other side, though, right? The Gecko for Icy, right, as the debut as well. This one's super
Yeah, we talk of no duelist. This is going to be a no duelist.
And they're still playing double controller.
Yeah, a lot of the time you see Gecko KO. This is a Gecko Sova. It's double info here for G2.
Well, let's find out if this one is going to go the distance. It's going to be exciting nonetheless. Let's send it back over to your casters. Let's find another tag team to reference. Let's say, I don't know, Heartbreak Kid.
All right, we'll take it. Thanks, GB. But yes, this second map is going to be quite good here now on Icebox, as the Deaths nailed it. We had now two different compositions for both of these teams, changing things out from the last time they played on Icebox. No more Brimstone on the side of G2. Yep. Now also for EG, there's no Deadlock, so you're maybe removing and stepping away from that one-off thing that, kind of got discovered against Lau when EG played it on Icebox after
feels
beating
good.
G2 on it. Yeah,
feels good when you can get it in there. People don't really know how to react to it, and it lasts just about a few weeks, maybe a few games, if you will.
Or one game.
Yeah. So looking at what we have before us, I feel like it is going to be a bit of a slower play unless it's info, util, and crash, right?
Yeah.
So this game has a lot of ways to be played, but we don't have the Sage Wall. See some other regions playing the Sage Wall makes that B play a lot safer, so we might just have a heyday here. The both teams coming in pretty hard on this A site over and over. Not too many crazy buys going around. Some ghosts as they slowly work up alt orb. Trent's going to be first contact here for G2.
Right, Cascade was used for pipes so that he could just play contact from the lower grounds. And now to make full noise, High Tide coming out on the A side as EG on the attack. Or the ones trying to set the pace for the attempt of a plant. Both Nanostorms preemptively popped though on the defense. Paranoia as well. And it looked right away like G2 wanted to fight instantly. Spike planted. But it gets planted. Trent gets the pick off through the dome. As Apoth after the plant falls. Gecko Dizzy now being thrown towards the air to get information, and Leaf is quite good for those 2 kills swarming inside from that screens. Joggimo low on HP with Superman, up against a full roster, quite healthy of G2.
Oh
Trent with 3 in the round. And G2, this is their 3rd pistol now of the series.
Yeah, really strong on the pistols. Trent, like we said, he was just pushed up towards pipes. First bit of sound he heard, they started backing up. Throw up the Viper wall from Jonah P. They start taking the fights. That push, that was towards the end of the round. But yeah, instant control of the sites, able to waterfall in. And 2 were B to start off. Same 2 that are starting off right now over on that side as we see Icy and Jonah P setting up on that side. So the Killjoy utility going to be mid. See how long it takes EG to kind of get up and mess with that or figure out how much it's being moved, because it's always one of the games you can play when you want to start working kitchen. EG going fast again here for this second round to get a little bit of orb control.
Yep.
And they just pause.
Sectioning the scaling here towards this B site. Top green. You don't have the Allen drone to try to clear out towards yellow though. And at least the audio cue of the Dizzy is going to allow for EG to start swarming in towards the top. Juggle gets to contact, but it was a little labored. So now G2 is already there to help right out on the first player that they've lost on yellow. Very, very clean second round.
A little bit of room for Leaf to peek out there and get quite a few frags with a stinger from Nest. 4-0, we have a lockdown pretty fast too, so even if EG start to kick back as this bonus round comes around, you could have that lockdown to stave off their pressure. All right. Vandals, everyone. Oh no, there's a few Phantoms in there for EG. Looks like they will be going towards B again, but a little bit more mid lurk. Throwing up this cascade, pushing behind it. Sometimes you see the drone here for full clear going up behind, just added free space, but they're still keeping util to make their way into the site.
And you talk about aggression, potentially on middle on the attack, but it's actually Leaf walking all the way down on the mid side of that tube. It's a big Dizzy that gets a big blind out the Jogimo.
So aggressive.
Tried to dash away, and there's that push down, punishing Superman. And at the same time, look at those bullet holes. They added a lot of pressure for G2 on the A side, so it almost looked like a pincer maneuver on all the angles of the map.
Spike down.
Feels like Lotus early rounds all over again. Spike already down, out towards yellow. Derek alone now towards the B site. Nature on the other side at A. Lee's Derek's able to fight back. Icy falls early. Recon dart to work with. Chance now for Nature to move back with him. So they could try to dwindle down the numbers of the defense of G2 towards his B site. Toward those spots, Derek runs out. Jonah P.
Spike down B.
Is answered back by Nature.
30 seconds left.
He's clutched this before here, this IGL for EG. Jump spot though from Trent. Just saw him forcing out the paranoia. Information for Nature to know there was two players there towards orange. But it was a last resort no matter what. Confident round now for G2, once again winning another bonus.
Yeah, and it really the way they played the economy for the first few rounds, we saw G2 with Vandals and full armor on a few of their members coming into that round. That's not what EG's expecting. You know, they're expecting G2 to have gone through a pretty easy, almost flawless rounds to start off, but I'm probably not expecting to find so many gun sames, expecting those gun diffs. All right, towards A, here we go. Killjoy utilities set up. EG is going to be running into a trap, but it hasn't stopped them before. It is something they can clear. And the way that G2's placing those mollies too, just on the boxes, so very hard for EG to come in and say, oh, there's a molly at my feet. No, it's head level, ready to just kind of slice you up as it goes off. Back to mid, Trent, same spot. Rinse and repeat a pistol round here from both teams.
Yeah. EG really using this cascade to block line of sight, not only from Pipes, but from Jenny as they try to come out here from the bottom of the A main area. Now util being dumped on EG's side, clearing out, or trying to clear out KJ util. But none of it got broken, so Leaf could still do a lot of damage here, yet Nature is still able to get that kill before he falls from that util. Paranoia now being flushed out. Contact here coming from the bottom of the site. Double swing out from EG. As Trent is able to get one onto Apoth on the top of the rafters. The bubble now being popped. As EG slows things down in terms of not letting G2 know what the next move is going to be.
That is such a neat thing. Looking back at the mollies there that we had in A that were just, if you look at the minimap right there for Killjoy, moved slightly. The first time they used those mollies, it did allow for a little bit of a hide in Jenny. If the molly went off, you could tuck yourself in and stay safe. With the mollies moved that time, Jenny wasn't safe, and that's where they tried to hide. Neat little changes. Here comes the site take.
Just too much utility.
Yeah,
off the
way
tap.
too
They all
much.
came through, and EG falls. Yet a lower buy that you had for EG has made G2 lose two weapons in the process.
The little changes throwing EG off on their take. Reckoning is up here. Still a buy coming through as we watch the replay. Once more, you see how those mollies switch up. Just affecting the entry in. And with that spike down, it becomes so much tougher to organize yourself again. G2's been moving so quick on these retakes. And we see Icy now going from a Raze to a Gecko, right? Still just as quick, just as comfortable, it seems, with the team being able to organize the strats. Cascade forward, and it doesn't even give Jogamo enough space. Valen's there.
There's a change of a cascade here to allow Jogamo to run out. Reckoning instantly pushed out as well on the attack. Changing gears, hitting a few. Recon dart with information, but it's a TP out from Valen. Advantage still out for G2. Slightly giving space here for EG, but trying to force him and funnel him towards the back of the site.
Possibly a little lurk up towards the kitchen. I don't actually think Superman wants that right now. He hears the turret. It's going to see him right past the window. Almost a spam.
At least Timmy turret gets a spam.
Oh my gosh.
Superman falls. Nature 1v1. At least contacts onto Valen. Derek as well as Icy falls. High Tide, second cycle out. Bubble for a plant. Being denied currently by the Hunter's Fury of Trent. Connects and APOP falls. Low HP are Derek and Nature. And Jonah P's on that flank. And he avoided all that util. This is perfect now. There's that first one to fall. And Nature at least gets Jonah P. But he's still up against Leaf and Trent at 18 left in terms of health points. A tap on the spike, and Trent knows they have all the time in the world here. As Nature felt pressured.
Yeah.
G2 there. Another 5 rounds in a row to start.
Lockdown's ready too as they come into this next round. That should be 2,900 over to the side of EG, but still low buy, we think, to come in here. And just time after time. A is the hit. We expected this to be what they would go for because of that difficulty of taking the B site. Especially, you could still do it with Harbor, but they're choosing not to. It's just a little too tough. Trent to come in with a drone or a dart could foil every wall you put up if your members are seen behind it. So this is the time to call a timeout, right?
Yeah.
Deja vu. 5-0, timeout, come back. Derek's about to clutch the next round. and then we got a game. All right. Script is working. Script is working. Yeah, see if Potter can get the info in that's necessary here. It is a lockdown. It is the Sova ultimate for Derek, that lockdown for Nature, but Leafs is up too. So do they lock down bait and destroy one? Is the Hunter's Fury for post plant? A few ways to play this one if you really want to punch back at that ultimate that Leaf has. Not too many on deck as well for G2, so you may be able to get out of this round without even having that lockdown go off.
Yeah.
A is the focus, though, to start off as they're hovering on this timeout to discuss the past 5 rounds.
Also, you're playing a double controller here for EG, so they have a chance to really up that tempo and maybe preemptively put and force the lockdown to be put down by Leaf so they could re-hit, or just really get a safe plant, hide behind those 2 walls, and even use these 2 ults on the post plant.
I mean, just the round we saw at A, it seemed like EG was in sight for so long, and that's because they can keep putting up walls. Use that util. They have time to create the space they want. It just looks like G2 always wants to be a step inside that space to start off.
EG has to modify the way they want to scale towards the A site. So instead of using these cascades to push out, they're using an early owl drone from Derek to make sure you can push away Trent and Valen. Last time Valen had a spray moving behind the cascade to get the pick. Now you get owl drone out, you can recon in the site with the rest of the high tides coming through.
Yeah, they dumped it all.
Yeah. Valen was trying to slow things down by placing a one-way up towards pipes. And as we mentioned before, getting the high tide out first forces out the lockdown, and yes, it's a chess match to bait out the lockdowns, break it on the other side with the Hunter's Fury, trying to create space. Jogmill couldn't get the float on top of screens, so no punishment on Trent. Silver lining, EG gets a plant. The lurk, though, denied. As Icy gets the headshot on Superman inside kitchen. Some players playing inside the site, some playing post plants as Thrash is available for Icy for the retake. Nature holding towards the dice. A second one in the face of Trent. Valen answers back. And the Thrash is trying to find info. Oh, Jogmill almost had that kill. But Valen was able to save Icy.
No post plant util.
And a 2 versus 3 at a disadvantage for EG. Tap on the spike, the smoke, the deniability off the sprays. Wingman with the defuse. 6 rounds go in favor of G2.
Punishing retakes and the ability to slow it down too. 3 were hard rotating over, and they're like, you know what? Superman, where? In tube, gets the kill. They're much more sure that they can just fight what's in front of them, and they do not second guess any angles that their teammates are watching. G2, all of them just in that flow state right now. The post plants, it was a reason they were coming back really hard as well on that, Lotus rather. And here they keep it going. Sheriff by Guardian there for Jogmo. He's got a little bit more in the bank. And with the spike down to start this one, they expect EG to do something a little tricky So it's going to be an info to start. Is EG, or sorry, G2 do something tricky, I should say, is EG lurk this tube again. They know the turret's going to be mostly towards boiler. They can just wait out somebody getting antsy and peeking. Oh.
Take flight.
They don't want to be antsy. G2 wants to push forward. Paranoia now, keeping EG at bay. But the turret did get broken here towards boiler. Superman slipped through towards kitchen. Jongno was trying to see if anybody was going to push under pipe so he could try to get a punish. But as that happens and nobody was pushing through, EG now groups up together towards his A site. Superman holding towards kitchen is able to get that rotate, catch the first one, upgrade into a weapon. A second one, won by VALORANT instead. A 4 versus 2 advantage. As G2 is denying the push from EG. The death ball attempt on the attack. As that hero guardian that they had at the beginning now becomes an upgrade. But Jonah P doesn't give a chance for Jogimo to set up.
It just seems like G2 has all the answers. By that, I mean you lose a guy down kitchen hallway and Valen's there to instantly trade, not let that Phantom do any more damage, right? That was supposed to be the crux of the play that would really put G2 on a tough rotate, not allow them to get anywhere, but it's instantly snuffed out and they go back to work. Go back to retaking the site A again. And I think they're starting to feel it is that A is going to be this hit. EG doesn't seem to have what feels comfortable at B with the Harbor Wall and the Viper Wall encroachment to go deeper and deeper. Maybe if they come up through mid on a possible play here, they have been kind of setting a precedent that a few will be mid. They get a fight that they want here, and it could be coming from Icy.
The rate's been so good for G2 at the beginning. Blade Storm pop, pressure towards middle instantly. We have a smoke out from Valen. He's also pushing out towards the belt. It's gonna be a 1v1 against Superman playing all the way towards spawn.
Wild.
As he gets spawny, he falls back, but they have full control of the A site. So EG has to start working towards middle, using the next cycle of the Poison Orb to try to cross over. They'll be able to do so. Cascade on the other end, updraft by Jogimo. Attack in the chest here, onto Trent. Now behind the wall. Leaf is waiting towards the B site. Swings out for the first. Apoth with the trade.
Oh my god.
Jonah P holding towards yellow, and Jonah P getting the kill towards yellow until Nature is able to get 2 of his own. Superman in a clutch situation, and Superman cannot be the hero this time around.
Oh. Again, exactly where they want to be. Valen getting up to belt on that round. You're just like, hey guys, by the way, probably B or mid. It's easy right now for G2. They have so much information to work with. They just have to have the crossfire placement, and it all falls into place right now. Nature looking to get these calls in. It will rout G2, but G2 is always there in the end.
Second timeout now for G2, for EG rather. And more needs to be discussed, and more needs to be discussed as to how can EG really set up Jogimo at this point, because as they're trying different ways of using this cascade, this controller, so he can get behind it, or he gets picked off, or there's more utility being thrown by G2 to deny all the visibility for EG's attempt to scale at the beginning of these rounds.
Well, what we've been seeing from EG is almost what you do default A with this composition. Once you make it up to pipes, Jet's already in the verticality zone, playing on 410. The Harbor Wall goes up. It creates a small sliver of space that you would get if you look on your minimap right over towards screens there. And then shooting down, Jogimo has all the time in the world. Nobody can really hit that as you jump back to 410 and you just start playing on top of the site. But they can't get into that spot. G2 is not allowing this space freely at all. Trent already looks like he wants to push up into alt-door position again. And just a little bit of util behind him is going to be able to cover that exit if it gets dangerous, as it's been happening. A bit more of a spread here from EG. Let's focus on their side. They're going to cascade. A little bit of a ruse towards A here. It could become a play if they get a kill, but this focus, the drone initiator for Jogimo over towards A to see if they can get some space.
It's quite interesting too, though, for G2. After EG's timeout, they're trying to use an operator this time around and trying to rotate Leaf around this op.
Yeah.
Right there.
Controlling kitchen, going back towards boiler. That will make things a little bit harder to retake here if EG hits towards this A side. And that wall, yes, just try to bait out those players, but the Allen drone was like it really came out by Trent.
Yeah.
And spotted nothing really. So they know this is a fake from EG to start.
Orbs up, a little bit of a one-way now for Jonah to play with, as they're going to take a more anchored position in the site. A little bit less than a minute left. You want to play safer, and they're going to get the second hit. We're getting towards B here, maybe third. You count the mid plays that didn't make it.
A little bit of a delay here. Second snake bite being thrown down by Jonah P. Orb came up, and information off the reckoning.
Oh my gosh.
Deniability, Hunter's Fury out on the defense. Dizzy blinding Jogimo, who's still trying to move out towards danger. Spotted by Valen on the top of the pipes in the hallway of Kitchen. Now more utility, denying more attempts of a plant. It forces EG to have to try to plant safely, but Valen's still around the corner. And watches his back to take down Nature, and a beautiful anchor hold by G2.
Valen 3Ks, Jonah P 3Ks this game. A lot of people are fragging out. Leaf having a few of those clutches as well earlier towards A to lock in. Just look at it. Cove is up, but it's not going to matter. You're getting dropped on by utility. You're not getting shot at. So it makes it so hard. We actually see a reason why EG haven't been going B, because they just get util dumped. And we didn't even really see Trent's arrow becoming a problem there. They still had the arrow to deliver in if the walls were up. EG looking for more answers now. What's the next step? It's going to be a low buy here.
EG's looking for any answer right now, actually.
Anything. Spike's down here because they expect to be pushed. They expect for it to possibly be dropped. They don't want to give that info. And that could have been it right there, right? They lose the harbor wall. And now we're forced to just expect more pushes from G2. What a absolute masterclass here by G2 of just map information and control, not letting EG get a foothold anywhere.
And right now they kind of anticipated that push that you just mentioned, Riv, towards L of Valen, yet unfortunately couldn't even win the duel, couldn't do any damage. Valen even manages to fall back at full health. Soloing now this A site, one wing towards pipes, slowing down EG's attempt of a push. At least we have a lockdown now for EG. So giving up all that space allows for them to move forward, but it's going to be another one of those lockdown to lockdown.
You should run.
Jogimo pushing forward, though, is able to get that pick onto Valen.
Placing swamp grenade.
And that's what we meant here. Maybe some of them will get detained, but it doesn't matter. At least you get the pit down. Now you can get also, or the plant and then the pit to play Pulse Plant from jail. Now Jones spotting Leaf on the top. Dizzy being thrown out on the defense. G2 trying to move forward and together inside the pit behind the wingman. It's nice for Icy to get the first. Jogimo answers right back, and a nice flick on the third of the round off the Trent. And there's that lurk running out of bullets, but at least Jogimo is able to keep Jonah P in a tight spot where he can't get anything done. Nice spray in the end with the Phantom, as that finally, they were looking for that first answer and they finally got it.
It takes the 4K to get one, but it is the one. As EG fans rejoice on that. And G2 say, all right, let's go right back at it. A little bit of low money there from the way they've been going down in these, but EG had to scrap for this. G2 is not making anything easy here. And the ultimate as well, making it a little interesting because you're not getting players that are low health. You're getting players that just presented themselves in the Viper's pit. So they're actually pretty healthy. Jogimo didn't care. He was snapping heads off left and right.
It's quick at the beginning, though. Recondor out for a 10th of a control towards this B side. Cascade coming out too, and both players holding this B site. Valen and Icy forced to fall back and start using early utility rather. Try to hold that push, but again, it seems to be a play for EG. At least not again for the first time, trying to add pressure on middle and B, so that maybe Nature could get some sort of value on a late lurk. Lurk starts off with Super Bendo inside tube.
Poison's off.
No utils really gonna be watching it because they broke that turret at the beginning of the round for EG.
Can't tell if they're fully info gathering or they're just letting the round play out as slow as possible. It seems like now they're moving up tube.
Knew where the thrash was coming from, so Derek gets the contact with the Hunter's Fury. It's quite interesting at the same time, though, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Valen's still alive at yellow, second in the round. TP's away now towards green. Second smoke being pinched from behind, but Nature He's able to reach that kill before.
Yep.
A+ was able to turn around. They'll get the plant. And now Jonah P is in a 1 versus 3. Economy's not too great for G2, yet Jonah P still wants to make it expensive now against EG. Scaling up towards Orange. High-low contact here on the right side of the B site. Superman's gonna get it. I was gonna say it was quite interesting to see how G2 instantly went for double ults. One to try to find information, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
But the second one was also for deniability with the Viper's Pit all the way out towards the A site. Made it kind of difficult for Jonah P to rotate back.
For sure. Finding these hits towards mid.
You were a mistake.
Interesting mid play. Not seeing G2 push A that time and EG not being kind of scared of it was interesting as well. EG still want to just play their own game, pushing up towards mid. Seems like they will go for full map control on this one, but they're getting the push this time. They're just trading tube control each round.
Forced buying because the majority at least could have rifles now for G2. Triple walk in mid. 2 towards the tube. Trent at the bottom.
Yeah.
Hit by a decay of an orb coming up on the attack for Superman. As they have 5 players on their end, now leaning towards this A site.
They should be able to focus on A. Slight push here, at least by Jonah, can deliver the info. Jump peek as well. And leaving those 2 in mid, Valen and Icy will hold. Looks like Trent just starts to rotate back and forth until they hear this drone.
And the thing is, we won't have Jogmo trying to create space because he has an operator now trying to walk in long range, so he's spraying through the A tower to give a chance. Oh, that's fine. Okay, there you go. That's okay. Nothing happened. We're still going to try to move inside the site for a plant now for EG. Nature, once again, a great spot towards the dice, adds value into that. Blade Storm now available for Jogmo as he activates it and helps out the rest of the team on the pulse plant. Trent, though, has something else to say. Tying things up on a 3-3 situation with all 3 players of G2 now working towards the back of the A site. Jogmo back with the operator looking back towards A as a TP comes across at Jenny. Nature catching one, sleeping and even 2. Whoa. Valen's forced to be alone now. Easy one with the operator in the end. We have the 9-3 curse.
Cool. What a start from G2. Both timeouts from EG throughout that first half. The pistol round, G2 start off and run with it, but it is the last 3 rounds, and it took some frag power to make these rounds happen too. Nature coming up big, and the rest of the team able to put up some numbers here to make sure they come away with at least 3. It's going to be a tough second half.
Definitely a beautiful timing done by Nature there to allow EG to have some sort of breathing room, some sort of hope to turn things around here on the second half if they can. But before we get into that, let's toss it down to the desk and see what they have to say.
I just wanted to see how long I could balance this on my head. Turns out, quite a while.
Were you that bored?
Got a very flat head.
The game got good in the last 3 rounds.
EG won 3 rounds in a row, GB.
Oh, no, it's fantastic. Oh, no, it's falling apart. Listen, guys. Listen,
I mean, it was for EG for most of that half.
Hey, look at that, tying it back in. That's a sick way. All right, well, let's go ahead, though, and talk about what we just saw in that first half there. G2 obviously continuing to look good.
It's all about the pistols, right? They won 3 out of 3 pistols, but really it's the bonus round. And here in this 3rd round, because in round 2 they go for an FBX buy, they've got bulldogs, they've got rifles, they can fight forward here. But they made the choice against an EG that in both of those round 3s across both maps have been going into these spread out plays 3-1-1 on the map. G2 crept up in B main, in A main, down mid as well, and they find 2 great opening picks that instantly turns the round.
Their retakes were looking flawless throughout. We saw a great performance out of Leaf now on this Sentinel role. But EG have got themselves a chance. They win 3 rounds in a row towards the end, and now heading into the second half. Some of these big pieces are coming online. We're seeing more moments from Nature. We're seeing Jojima, for the first time this series, starting to look a little bit like himself.
Yeah, Mimi, that's great, but they still got to win a pistol.
Yes, and that's the big challenge.
Like, win a pistol, and if you don't, please do something early, because they've started both games
statistically
off
speaking,
0-5.
right? If you're able to pick up the pistol here, maybe you can get yourself back into it, but history doesn't look good for EG.
But if you lose this pistol, series is pretty much over.
Oh,
this is going to be the most important round coming up for EG.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically going to be a wrap here if EG cannot secure this pistol. This next round is going to be very, very pivotal, and we'll see how it all plays out for the world champs. Send it back over to your casters.
Thank you, GB. And definitely you saw at least the last 2 shots. Both coaches seems to be quite comfortable with the plan that they have cooked up here for this pistol round, as there was still 10 seconds left before this round started, and nothing else needed to be said. So it starts with G2 with the Dizzy. High tie being thrown on the defense to retaliate. But G2 rather are still moving up.
Lots of armor here for G2.
Yeah.
Post plant 2 mollies. That's definitely a focus for Jonah. Let's see what they can make here as they get into sight. A little bit of a mid control for EG. They're looking to play more retake with a push down mid, maybe one flanker, but this is the hit. G2 has free space. It's what post plant they can set up that's going to matter.
It's good, at least EG killed that turret right away on the attack, so that gives a little bit of paranoia to G2, forcing one player to instantly rotate back towards the spawn. And that's going to be Leaf with that responsibility, giving a chance for EG to have to fight evenly, or able to fight evenly on a retake towards the A site. Jogno scoring first. Valen then after, with help from Trent. As we're all around, really not looking towards the verticality. Everything is really clean and good for G2, and Mimi mentioned it.
Yeah.
If VG loses that pistol round, it might be GG right there, but do we believe?
I don't know. I don't know if we believe. G2 has so many things prepped here. We saw the classic armor, right, coming in for a lot of them. The 2 mollies were actually used for denial of room here at screens. So with the armor, they can push up the screens. They all face the fight coming into the site. It's not post-plant mollies. It's denial of getting back into the site mollies for EG's defense. So really good forward play from G2. And now they'll switch the side. A, now to B for second round. And they have the setup with a Leaf watching that flank. So they could stay here for quite a bit. The wingman and the drone just to get space here, not taking any chances. They have to clear yellow. Done.
Yep. Quite easily, too.
Yeah.
Didn't even need a recon dart to have Superman trying to peek out and find a timing.
Not coming back.
We saw 4 players waiting right there towards yellow and or towards green rather, and that allows here for G2 to get an instant plant towards the B site. 4 players grouped up on the pulse plant at yellow. Really no big util to delay except for that 1 nanoswarm still in the back pocket of Leaf, who throws it now. This half buy, lower buy stingers that we had from EG.
Flawless.
Exactly. They're greeted by a flawless from G2, who only need 2 more rounds to really dominate the series.
Yeah,
put it that way for sure.
Definitely dominate the series. The first one still is a big scrappy back and forth there, but G2 showing quite a bit of control once they did figure out what was happening, and now running away with that control here. Clean up 11-3 now as we get into the bonus round. This is so necessary for EG, but it's already been the force. They're already trying to get control early, so it makes it tougher with the low buy. Push in, Superman just trying to get that early info, giving a little bit of alt orb control to Derek as they're getting each advantage they can falling out of this game.
Yeah, it really is the only saving grace now for EG, if they're able to salvage a couple of these rounds to get that Hunter's Fury up ASAP and maybe have that most important swing round in the series, but we're thinking way too far ahead. State of the game so far, it's been one-sided domination out of G2 all along here on the second map of Icebox. A map here where EG came out with their one-off deadlock that really surprised G2. But now this time, both of them coming out with new compositions. And G2 is ready for it all the way. 2 more left alive now, Derek and Nature. Stinger close range, dropping the spike towards yellow. Wall up on the attack, trying to spray behind it are the players of G2, and Derek and Nature just trying to find this timing. A nice little double swing out from that smoke. G2's at 12.
It's honestly an achievement for both teams to try and plant at B this game. They are giving each other so much hell just trying to get down that plant as it goes into the site. And that just tells the story so much of why we've seen so much A site from both of these teams. This one again, G2 just clean it up ever so slowly. And now they are on game point. Try open up possibly with the Hunter's Fury here as we see the end of that replay. Cleaning up the kills. Operator for Jogamo. Looks like they're going to go straight ahead and try to use this right away to Pipes with protection.
Still on the ropes too. Valen already drops that. Dizzy did way too much. 2 players are falling down, and that operator is all solo. Once again hit by so much utility. As that operator had 0 value. Nor are the players. Last one in. Joe with the kill. A flawless round to give the series to G2 in a dominating fashion.
G2 coming away with the win pretty handily there in the end. Showing that power, obviously, at the end kickoff where they beat Sentinels with, right?
Yeah.
I kid. But what a game. Leaf stepping up. Wonder what happened without the Sentinel role. Didn't matter. Icy stepping up. And indeed, Icy is a fitting name. A lot of plays where it was just full on, forward. You had to be cold to get the results, and he was. It's looking good for G2. They got to be happy with that result as EG made the changes and did not see the results. And night and day from both teams.
Yeah, and the desk was mentioning here for Icy joining this roster for G2, usually coming into a duelist role, but he also has a lot of experience playing some Sentinels roles, some really flex roles, really. And it adds more value to G2's change of compositions if they need to, with what you currently see here in front of the screen. I think a lot of value in terms of utility as well as a support player on that Gecko. Really allowed G2 to add domination right now against EG in that series. And Valen, IGL, we talked about IGL fraggers for nature.
Absolutely
fragging. Well, this time it's Valen, definitely owning it there.
Doing so well, 18-6 on the top for his team from that controller position. It seems like you're the controllers, man. Seems like we got some real good controller fraggers coming in throughout this season.
Your controllers, your fragging IGLs.
Yep.
You remember that was a huge topic back in the offseason, and now it seems everybody's just, calling that fragging is something that all of the IGLs currently do so far.
And that's going to be good. We talked about the pistol rounds. We talked about the success from G2. That's one way they made a mark on this game to make sure it was nail in the coffin to be able to take down EG. Also, I think the progression on Lotus for what we saw, EG was starting to manhandle the map, figure out what was going on, and be able to just pinpoint exactly what G2 was doing.
Yeah.
They were able to figure that out and break it apart and realize that's the way that EG wanted to play everything. Push him off those early pushes, get Superman back into his own sight, and they won't have as much easy time taking the round.
And that's the thing, if you look at the series too, G2 never really gave a chance here for EG to really set up in those situations where you really had to count down on a lot of these clutches, especially on that Lotus on that first map. Something that also happened for EG in that first series during Kickoff where you had the 2 versus 4 clutches on Sunset. And then finally here, G2 didn't give a chance for EG to really come back and get the momentum to win the series. But at least for G2, they got the series and they did it for net, and they did it. But let's send it down to the desk where Spix will do our Verizon post-match interview.
Thank you very much, Ben Silly, and congratulations, Valen. What a intense showing from the side of G2 and taking down EG. It has to be said, this is the beginning of stage 1. This was your first match with Icy, and of course, with this win, you're now also getting revenge against EG for that very close 0-2 loss back at Kickoff. So a lot of firsts, a lot of wins. Tell us what's going through your head right now.
I'm just really proud of the team. Like, we went through a lot of adversity the last couple weeks, picking up Icy, who's a rookie, and he's been integrated in the system really well. As you can see, he's very aggressive, and he takes those timings on duelists. So he's the unsung hero of this new roster because he's making a lot of space for the team. Like, he's so selfless. He goes in with the utility. He usually gets his one, and from there, he just lets the rest of us shine. I'm just proud of the guys because it's been a tough couple weeks, but we did it. We got our revenge, but job's not done, and we're going to continue working hard, and hopefully this new G2 continues winning.
That's amazing to hear, and honestly, you make it sound easy to integrate a new player like that, but the truth is it's far from it. It's actually very hard, and especially with the short amount of time that you had, what was it that you really focused on? Was it knowing that, okay, Leaf is going to go to Sentinel, we're going to make Icy shine as duelist? Was it really about focusing around new strategies around that?
Yeah, at first we were trialing duelist and Sentinel players, but as soon as I saw Leaf on Sentinel, I literally messaged Josh right away. I'm like, Leaf is playing Sentinel on this team. A lot of people were confused with the roster change, like why would you put such a star player on Sentinel? But it matches his playstyle well, and he's just such a scary player to deal with on anchoring sites, lurking. His shot is so clean, so you really don't want to peek that guy, right? And then have a more selfless, just go in, dive in player like Icy on Duelist. It makes a lot of sense for us, and I'm glad we were able to showcase that today.
I love to hear the confidence. Is also see your confidence on the server. You were fragging out of your mind.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm curious, now that you are, obviously you have this win here, you've been practicing with the team, it's clear that you believe in Icy as well as the new potential with this roster that you have. Now that you see the other competition, we're starting to see some results come out, and obviously you're scrimming these guys. Right. How do you think you guys stack against the other teams?
I think it's hard to say because we're still pretty new. I mean, my self-confidence tell me we stack towards the top. You know, of course I'm gonna be biased a bit, but really I feel like if we're on our A game that day, we'll be able to compete against any of the teams here and probably qualify for an international event too.
Absolutely, love to hear it. An amazing performance once again today. We are going to head to a short commercial break, but when we come back, it'll be a North American showdown with 100 Thieves taking on Sentinels.
Red Bull gives you wings.